Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. It has been way too long since I recorded, and I apologize for that. I really want to make sure I stay up to date on recording because I think that's kind of what keeps the flow going on, inspiration and motivation and, that sort of thing. And I want you guys to tune back in. So if I have these long breaks in between, I know that can kind of mess things up on both ends, right? Because I want you guys to subscribe and to pass this on, but I'm sure on your end you're waiting for information. So it's been kind of hectic and it kind of ties into the topic that I'm going to talk about today. So I'm going to explain all of this. I'm going to try to do it in like 7 minutes or less. So one of the reasons why I haven't recorded is because, so a few weeks ago, my daughter Jaden got sick, and it wasn't anything serious. I'll start off by saying that, but and I'll spare all the details of her personal business as well on what happened. But I ended up having to take her to the doctor, and I'll just go ahead and say she had an abscess, so they had to put her to sleep to be able to drain it, and like all this craziness, and those things can turn into bad infection. So I'm really glad that I was able to get that taken care of before it turned into something worse. But um, it was a good week and a half. My daughter comes before everything, right? And so when she's sick, though, I think my audience right now is a lot of younger students who don't have kids, but there might be a few people out there that have kids. And then those of you who do have kids completely understand this. When your child is sick, and I should just say this personally, for me, like everything is thrown off. Like when Jaden is not feeling well, or especially if it's something where she's might be in tears or something like that, it just throws everything else off. And she is my priority, which should be the case for every mom, I would imagine, right? So we were dealing with that, and it resulted in me taking some days off of work. And I think I ended up having to take off, I know I took off 2 days for sure. I'm starting to feel like it was three, but that week started to blur together. And, we weren't sleeping and we were both tired, and ended up the day I was going to go into work, it was that Sunday evening, and I was prepping and getting everything ready, probably by mid-afternoon. And I got to a point where I was like, you know what, I can't. She's not ready to go back to school, and, really didn't have childcare for her. I didn't want her to stay home by herself. So I was like, you know what? And a lot of times, guys, I really feel like God, those thoughts that we get that we can't really make sense of, a lot of times, personally, I think that's, God speaking to us, and he gives us even little thoughts, guys. And we tend to think that he only answers big prayers, right? But it can be just the littlest things. And it just dawned on me that I have this wonderful technology here. That's how I can do my classes, right? So I called in on Monday. Luckily, my job is very understanding. I am blessed, and I constantly say this, that I have a job that I have some flexibility with it and some autonomy over my classes, to where it's not the end of the world that, I need to call in for a few days. So I was able to record all my lectures and post those online to Blackboard, and do my online quizzes that they typically do in class, do those online. So everything worked out. And in the midst of that, I was starting to get this idea for this topic. And in the midst of this, all this happened. And so I was like, bingo, that's my next topic, which is on priority. Okay. It may sound very, I say, I'm going to make up a word, commonsensical. And I even teach in my classes about being very careful about common sense, because what's common sense for me is not common sense for someone else. But I'm just going to go ahead and use that phrase for now, that it seems very common sense, right? That, we prioritize those who are most important to us, our kids, our spouse, if you're married, our boyfriend or girlfriend, or significant other, whomever, right? A lot of times that embodies family and friends, but how often do we not do that, right? And that, unfortunately, can be a problem for a lot of marriages. It can strain parent-kid relationships. I am by no means saying I have this all figured out and I do it right all the time, but the relief I felt immediately once I made that decision to say, you know what, to Jaden, you know what, baby, I'm not going into work. I'm going to stay right here until we get you 100% better. And the relief on her face to know that her mom was going to be there. And I have a very understanding job, and I know that's not always the case. I know students will have professors that are not understanding to life circumstances. I hear and see the gamut of reasons that students have to miss class. They miss an exam. it could be a family member passing away during the middle of the semester. And for me, the challenge is balancing truth with lie, because some students unfortunately will use that as an excuse to try to make up things or to get a pass out of being able to, get docked for missing class or something. But so there's a little bit of challenge on my end to be able to balance truth with lies, but things happen, right? And there's always going to be just a handful of people that are there for you no matter what. I mean, I'm talking about people that are going to stay up with you till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning when you can't fall asleep and are there for you. That's who I'm talking about. And so my message today is prioritize even when it's tough. That means you may be going through something, and there's just so many examples, but really stop and think about who is most important to you, right? It's the people that don't take advantage of you. It's the people that are there unconditionally for you. And there's going to come a time where, guess what? Those people are probably going to need you, right? And if you neglect that relationship, if you put it aside and say, you know what, I just can't be there for you right now, that I honestly believe that's going to cause some problems. And so the reason why I'm talking about this is because I know it can be tough when you're in the middle of a situation, especially like if you're in school, right? You have a test, you have exams, you have homework assignments, you have to be in class because you get, attendance grades. And then all of a sudden disaster happens, God forbid, something with a parent or your best friend or, your grandparents or something like that. And then you tell your instructor and they don't understand, right? They hold you accountable just like everybody else and say, you know what? So sorry. What do you do? Right? What do you do? And I know some of you who know me as Professor Campbell say, well, that's easy, Professor Campbell, because you're already on the other end of it. And for some of you who haven't experienced that, yet, there's going to come a time where you're going to have to pick and choose, right? Exam, grandmother, a sick child, or work, spouse or work, right? It's no secret I'm divorced, and I, without trying to find a balance of putting all my business out there, but also being vulnerable enough to share some personal experiences that I know people can relate to. There were plenty of times where I feel like I was asking for attention, but then the end result was that work came first for him. And so, not the only issue that kind of did this to us, but definitely an issue, and so, on the flip side, people do need to be understanding, but priority, you have to prioritize those that are most important to you. And I say that saying, I know it's easier said than done, but there's never been a time where I made a choice to prioritize someone who was dear to me and I regretted it. That never has happened. Absolutely not. So that is my lesson or my word for today, guys. Being aware of those moments and being aware of the situation and stopping to say, you know what, right now, fill in the blank, whomever needs me to be there. This can't wait. And, hope and pray, that you really do have the understanding of people. And if not, guys, a lot of times that may be a sign that you may need to redirect your course, whether it's a job, whether it's school, whether it's a class, or not taking that professor again. We're not stuck to a certain path that we're on. Okay. So I hope that makes sense to y'all. It was just something that I had thought about, and then everything happened. Jaden is so much better and I'm so much better now that she's better. And so we're good. So again, thank you for watching, guys. Feel free to share, subscribe, all of that stuff. And I look forward to the next video. And I promise it will not be about 3 weeks later until the next one. Okay. Have a great week, guys. Bye.